Hey ChatGPT, who's more likely to have said this in Singapore? A PAP MP or a Workers Party MP?
APAPMP.
Wrong. That's actually the opposition leader.
Mr. Speaker, I am supportive of the aforesaid changes and commend the significantly more enlightened attitude taken by policymakers to shift the focus on helping selected repeat drug offenders in a more purposeful and surgical manner.
And what about this?
A Workers Party MP.
Wrong again, ChatGPT. That's the Prime Minister of Singapore.
Our refreshed Singapore story, therefore, must be more inclusive. It cannot be limited to a few selected pathways of advancement, with some pathways accorded higher status than others. We must value the success of every individual, each one pursuing his or her own path. And we must provide many more ways for our diverse talents to be the best possible versions of themselves, to make a difference in their own ways, all deserving of equal respect in our society.
ChatGPT is clearly confused. But to be fair, so are most of us. You'd think that was from the Workers' Party manifesto. Those quotes were cherry-picked. But when I analysed 100 speeches and questions from Singapore's parliament, ChatGPT was still wrong 1 in 5 times. That's 10 times more than it got wrong for Canada, Britain, Australia, or the US.
Mr. Speaker, here is the issue with the Leader of the Opposition, who's so in love with the sound of his own voice that he doesn't actually check the facts.
The high school drama teacher over here accuses others of liking the sounds of their own voices. This from a guy who, if he were made of chocolate, he would eat himself.
And that's why Singapore is such a fascinating case study for the world. In many countries, debates often look like reality TV, with fewer commercial breaks. But in Singapore, the government and opposition often sound like they share the same scriptwriter. Even in their sharpest disagreements, it's possible to confuse government MPs and opposition MPs. Take the GST hike.
We also refuse to apologize for questioning the government on GST.
Pretty strong words. But then, a PAP MP stood up and said this.
I thank the Deputy Prime Minister for responding to my call to delay increase in GST. Whilst he has assured us that GST will not increase for at least another 2 years, and has also provided support in the form of GST assurance package, some Singaporeans are still wondering, why would we need to raise GST at all, given the apparent budget surpluses and an additional capacity of $6 billion of GST offsets? Increases in cost of living is foremost in the minds of many people, particularly retirees. Sir, I would like to repeat my call to the Deputy Prime Minister to continue looking for other sources of revenue. Even though the wealthy are already contributing substantially to our taxes through a progressive personal income tax, GST, property tax, ABSD, and so on, I really believe there is still room to consider wealth tax and estate duties, all aimed at building an even fairer and more equal society.
That's not a quiet suggestion. That's a mic drop, Singapore style. And in some ways, her stand was actually stronger than the opposition leaders.
GST may well have to rise, but Singaporeans could be more likely to accept it if the government considers the pros and cons of moving from the established orthodoxy and consider new approaches that improve social protection thresholds for all, and elderly Singaporeans in particular. In view of the absence of such details, the Workers' Party is unable to support the announcement of a GST hike at this moment in time.
Translation: no for now, but yes if you supply the details. And in some discussions, ChatGPT performed less well than a coin toss. But can a Workers' Party MP sound like an actual PAP MP over a period of time? I decided to put this to the test. I looked up every time these two MPs spoke in Parliament from January to March 2025. Now, I excluded the usual "my residents in Hougang need more bus services" stuff and just focus on national issues. Both MPs spoke around 30 times. Each time, I asked ChatGPT, who is more likely to have said this in Parliament? A PAP MP or a WP MP? Do not search the web. And here's what happened. ChatGPT guessed that Dennis Tan, the Workers' Party guy, sounded like a PAP MP 60% of the time. And ChatGPT also guessed that Zhu, the PAP guy, sounded like a PAP MP 60% of the time. I wasn't convinced by the results, so I roped in a friend to try the same quiz. To make it interesting, I told him, 1 prata for every correct guess. Easy deal, right? He was confident and hungry. But guess what? He did even worse than ChatGPT. 4 out of 10. Which means he should have just flipped a coin each time to get more prata. Let that sink in. The opposition MP sounded like a government MP just as often as the government MP sounded like a government MP. It's like tuning into JJ Lin, and halfway through the concert, he starts dancing like BTS. What does that mean? Well, either Dennis Tan is a secret government agent and Hougang belongs to the PAP, or maybe, in Singapore, party lines aren't as loud as we think.
I listened to various PAP MPs. I heard proposals for more intermediate and long-term care subsidies, checking the rental rate of government-owned and managed properties, even a call for a windfall tax. Now, many of these proposals were made in the WP manifesto and by WP members in this House. So for a minute, I thought the PAP had become WP light.
You know, Dr. Lim, I read your manifesto. And actually, to be honest with you, we could have written the same manifesto.
We like that.
Those weren't comedy skits. They were serious debates. And it raises a serious question. Do we want to think rationally about policies based on their merits? Or are we going to keep reacting based on who proposes them?
Are you a Hillary Clinton supporter?
I sure am.
What about Donald Trump?
Next.
No, you don't support Donald Trump at all?
I do not.
Support Hillary's plan to eliminate the estate tax?
Yes, I do support that.
Say if I told you those are all Donald Trump's policies.
Oh, God. I hate him.
One path leads us to a better Singapore, where we judge ideas on their merits. The other leads us down the road of blind partisanship and polarization, like what we are seeing in so many countries today. And if I can convince one staunch PAP supporter to listen to both sides with an open mind before voting, and one die-hard Workers' Party supporter to do the same, then this video will have done its job. And if you've learned something, do comment with a sun emoji. Let's light up this world, especially with dark clouds looming on the horizon. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay happy and healthy.